Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on a section called featured, which is going to display featured products. So first of all, here I'm going to create a new section. I'm going to say here, I'm going to add a comment first, and then I'm going to say featured, and then featured, and then I'm going to create a section here. I'm going to say section, and I'm going to give this section an ID, and the ID is going to be featured. And then inside that featured, we need a div. We need here to create a div, and for this div, I'm going to give it first a class called container, which is as usual. This class is going to add container is going to add a padding and margin from the right and left. And I'm going to also say here text center, because I want to center the text center. But let me work on this later, because I want to show you how these classes are going to affect the design. And inside that div, first of all, I want to display here I'm going to say h3, and then I'm going to say our featured products, or just our featured. And then I'm going to display HR, which is a separator. It's just a separator. And below this, I'm going to display a paragraph. Here below this HR, I'm going to say P. And I'm going to add here some text. I'm going to say, here you can check out our new products, or featured products. Featured products. Let me save and let me refresh. So if I refresh, as you can see here, it's being displayed here. But first of all, I want to display this in the middle. Therefore, I'm going to say here for this container, I'm going to say text center. Text center. And I also want to add margins from the top and from the top and bottom, and from right and left. And that can be done using the margin top 5, which is a bootstrap class, and the padding y, which is going to add a padding from the top and bottom. And also I'm going to add padding and margin to the section itself. So for the section itself, I'm going to say class, and then I'm going to say my5 and pb5. So this is a margin 5 to the top and bottom, and this is for the bottom. This is padding to the bottom. pb5, pb-5. Now let me show you the difference. As you can see, it's going to be displayed in the middle, which looks amazing. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the featured products. So to do that, I'm going to create the products. And to create the products, we need a div. And we need to give this div a class called raw in order to create a raw that will contain several products. So I'm going to say raw here, and inside that raw, first I'm going to create the first product by creating a div, and I'm going to give this div a class called product, which is going to be my class that I'm going to work on shortly. And I am going to say column LG3, which means that each product will take 3 columns out of 12 if the screen is large. If the screen is medium, I'm going to say column MD, and then 4, which means that each product would take 4 columns out of 12 if the screen is medium screen sizes. For medium screen sizes. For small screens, I would say here call SM12, which means that for small screens, each product would take 12 columns, 12 out of 12, which means that if the screen is small, only one product would be displayed. So inside the product, we need an image for the product. So I'm going to say image, and I'm going to give it also a class. The class is the image fluid, which is a bootstrap class again, and the margin, I'm gonna give it also margin bottom 3. And I'm gonna say here source, and I'm gonna keep this empty for now. Shortly, I'm gonna add an image. Below the image, we want a text. So I'm gonna create a div for that text, and I'm gonna say here, let me use, instead of the text, instead of div, I'm gonna say here h5, and for the h5 I'm gonna give it a class, and that class is gonna be p name, and here I'm gonna display the name of the product. So let me here say sports shoes, and below this I'm gonna use the h4 to display the price. So I'm gonna say here h4, and I'm gonna give it a class, and that class would be named p price. And then I'm gonna say here I'm gonna type a price. Let me say here this price, and below I'm gonna display a button. I'm gonna say here button. So for this button, I'm gonna say buy now, and I'm gonna also give it a class buy now. Let me save, and let me head over to the browser, and let me here name it, instead of buy now, let me say buy button, because otherwise I wouldn't know that this is a button. Buy button. Let me now save and refresh, and as you can see, the product will be displayed here, but we still need to work on the design. So first of all, we need to add margin and padding. So to add a margin and padding, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add margin and padding to the to this div, to this raw itself. The raw itself, I'm going to say mx auto. So this is going to center each product. So it's going to add here some space here from the left and right, so that it will be centered. However, it will be centered, but also there will be here space, and this is going to be applied to the raw itself. It's not going to be applied to each product, so it will look amazing shortly when I refresh. You will see what this is going to do to the raw. And I'm going to also give it container. I'm going to say here container fluid, which is going to also add some space. Container fluid. This is a bootstrap class, which is going to add some space from the right and left, and make sure that the things will be displayed perfectly. And for the text, I want to center the text. And to center them, we need here to say text center. This is going to center the text. So this is for this part. And for here, we want, let me check this one here. We need text center. We need to center this, and we need to add margin. We added margin. Everything is perfect. Let me save and let me refresh now. And as you can see, it's going to look amazing. It's going to be displayed here. Now what we need to do is that we need to display the image. So I have some images, and let me show you the images that I have. So I have this folder which contains some images. I'm going to add these images to my project. So here I'm going to open this, and then I'm going to open the images. And for the images, for this section, we have the featured. So I have here 4 featured images. I'm going to move each one here to this images folder. 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. So we will have 4 images. Now what I'm going to do is that, let me close all of these. Let me close down all of these tabs. Here we need to say source. And then for the source, I'm going to say assets / images / featured1 JPEG. Let me now save, and let's head on over to the browser to test. So as you can see, it's going to look amazing. Now we have only one product, but we want to create here 3 other products. So to do this, we don't need to do anything special. All we need to do is that we need to copy this part and paste it 4 times, paste it 3 times because we already have one. However, I'm gonna here, before I do this, I'm gonna display here some stars. So stars for reviews. So to do this, I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna create here a div called that has a class called star. I'm gonna say class star, and then I'm gonna use a font awesome star. So I'm gonna say here I, and then for this I, I'm gonna give it a class, and that class is not a bootstrap, it's a font awesome class called FAS font awesome, and then FA font awesome star, and then I'm gonna repeat this 5 times because I want to display 5 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let me show you how this would look like. As you can see, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, which looks amazing. So this is for this section. Finally, I'm gonna repeat these 4 times, and then I'm gonna work on the design. So in order to repeat these, we just need to copy this part. We need to start copying from here. So from here, I'm gonna copy from here, and then I'm gonna paste this 1, 2, and 3, and I'm gonna change the images. So the first image is featured 1, the second image is featured 2, and the third image is featured 3, and the last image is featured 4. Let me now save and let me refresh. And as you can see, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they look amazing. Now I'm gonna work on the design. So I'm gonna head on over to CSS. Let me open up CSS. And in CSS now we need to start working on the design. So remember, we have a class called container. We have a class called product. Remember, we have here a class called product. This product. So we need to work on this. This product is the div that contains the complete product. So here at the bottom, I'm gonna here add a comment, and then I'm gonna say product. So for the product section, I'm gonna say here dot product, and then first I'm gonna give this product a cursor. I'm gonna say cursor pointer, which is gonna make this which is gonna make the item clickable. Cursor pointer will make this icon clickable. Whenever you hover over it, it's gonna be clickable. So this is for the product, and I'm gonna also give it margin bottom. So I'm gonna add here some margin because I want this margin for the in order not to interfere with the next section. So I'm gonna say margin bottom to rim, and then I'm gonna work on the image. I'm gonna say product image, and the image, I'm gonna give this image a transition of 0.3 seconds all. And upon hovering on the image, I'm gonna say here product, and then hover. If I hover over the product, I'm gonna change the opacity of the image. So I'm gonna say image, I'm gonna say product hover, which means that if I hover over the product here, the image will have a different opacity. I'm gonna say here opacity, and the opacity is gonna be 0.7. Let me save and let me now head on over to the browser and refresh. And if I hover, as you can see, the opacity will be 0.7, which looks amazing.